So Stanley Cup playoffs are coming up. Carolina and Las Vegas. The Golden Knights versus the Hurricane. This is like 1992-93 Series 2 hockey for Upper Deck. And there's Gordie Howe Heroes. And I've had this box, well, for going on, 34 years. So I think the biggest ones are Karyia. And you have Chris Pronger, who's in the junior, the World Junior Hockey uniforms from Canada. So it's gonna be like 36 packs, and this will be basically the last year that they did for both, baseball, hockey, probably basketball and football. They did like Series 1, Series 2, for the high series. So you get like cards for both series in there. I'll try to be as quick as I can. There's like that little. Curtis Joseph there. There's the Belfair, Ed Legal. Jimmy Carson, he got traded for Andrew Castles. That's the Whalers. That's Hartford Whalers, which is now the Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah, so Jimmy Carson got traded from LA Kings at Edmonton for Wayne Gretzky. There's a checklist. You got Russian Stars. There's a Ray Bork. He played a lot for Boston Bruins. Upper Deck profiles. Alexei Kovalev. That's like the World Juniors there for Sweden. Not too sure if anybody else really did much. So they basically have the licensing for the World Juniors. Donald Odette there. Anybody else? Kevin Stevens. Pat Falloon, who was like a #1 pick from the Sharks ever. First pick ever. Dmitry Yaskevich. Todd Marchant, he's pretty fast. Russ Courtnall. Roman Hammerlake, Cam Dadmarsh, and there's Yammer Yager. Let's see here. Gotta have a little tear out. Tony Amani, checklist. That's like the old New Jersey Devils. They had like red and green. Bill Ranford. It's quite a shot. Doug Waite, he was pretty good. Nicholas Lidstrom for the Red Wings. And there's Gordie Howe. Bernie Nichols, 1927. So you get these Upper Deck Gordie Howe hockey heroes. Imagine they have a picture like of them signing, like what they do with Reggie Jackson, Christian Rutu, There's John Van Beesbrook, the Beezer. Baba says Brian Bellows, Brian Leach, a lot of Brian's there. Al McInnes, he had a really hard slap shot. Keith Kachuk. And this is Dominic Rossell, rookie. That's like one of the chase lanes there. He wasn't too bad, but didn't last. Richard Smith, look. There's another Roman Hammerlick. I'd like do like a little thing in the locker room, and they can talk about what the stuff they like. Don Beaupre, Kay Whitmore, Tony Granado, Pat Verbeek, Bobby Holik, Karyia Roberts, and Kevin Stevens there. And then there's Max. I guess I got pals this. Okay, so that's, just been here like in my kitchen table. So not really too much fancy what I'm doing. Andy Moog. Al Friday, that's another guy who had like a hard top set. Maybe like 100 and over 100 miles per hour. Jeremy Roenick. Vladimir Constantino, Joe Juneau, who had a good season, I guess. Not much after that. And there's like Dmitry Kasparidis and Vladimir Malakov. So they had a lot of Russians, Swedes, Czechs, Finnish, kind of all around. Just, you have a lot of nations. You think of Canada as having, really good, a lot of players for them. John LeClaire. I think Frank Pietrangelo. I used to know all these. Not bad. There's Brian Leach. So I used to collect a lot of hockey back in, this day. Even though California is like, you'd have like, LA Kings, and then eventually the San Jose Sharks. Dave Andrewchuk, he's a big boy. Adam Deadmarsh. Dino Cicerelli. Eric Weinrich. Saiko Kubo. Played for the Canadians, so maybe I'll put him up there, sleeve him up later. So, some of these guys, they'd have playing the World Juniors, and then he'd be in there. That'd be like a rookie card, so to speak. This is a Dennis Savard checklist. Luc Robitaille. Nicholas Lidstrom there. Rookie reports. There's another Gordie Howe. That's going to be that would be the one where you sign it. So that's the Red Wings, Hartford Whalers, and then Houston Aeros. That's the World Hockey Association. They kind of did that in the 70s. They went to a different, started up a league besides the NHL, and then they eventually merged. So like Edmonton was part of the WHA, Hartford Whalers, Quebec and Nordiques. There's somebody else. Same weight. So you have 195. That's like, you know, the low side. First series. Keep Kachuk again. Alexei Kloverev, Gilbert Dion, whose brother, Marcel Dion, played for the Kings. Gilbert had an okay season, and you just never hear from him again. Sometimes they happen, like in the playoffs. Steve Larmer, checklist. Pat Verbeek. Tony Granado again. Grant Freer with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kelly Rudy for the LA Kings. Victor Kozlov, he was like a high draft pick from the Sharks. Eventually made it with the Florida Panthers. Pavel Bure, that was the one guy that captivated audiences. Tim Chevalier, Rick Tapiaki, who's another Belfour, Cujo, another Hurley, another Grant Ferrer. This guy was there's another Gordie Howe. First production line. Sid Abel and Ted Lindsay. Way back. He played, I believe, for the Dallas Stars. But Pavel Bure, that was the Russian Rocket. He had some like exciting hockey. Vincent Danfus, Johan Gopernlov, Huey Krupp, there's Andrew Stuck again, Dirk Graham, Pat Jablonski. That's so like this would be the Tampa Bay Lightning and Ottawa Senators came in the league. Yeah. And then the next year, then it'd be the Florida Panthers and then the Anaheim Ducks. Stuff on my toe. Esa Tikkanen. So Upper Deck, they also made 91. They made like a Czech version, just of the juniors. It was like a set. In 1991, they did a French version, and for a while there, it looked like it was like, that's the thing to get. And I fell into that trap. You need to get like a, Jaromir Jagr French version or a Pavel Bure rookie card French version, and then it's like, and then the cards just tanked, the box is tanked. And that was Dennis Savard. I mean, I just think that we probably looked at, like, all this, Russian stars, I guess an international game, and so we're going to print up a lot of Doug Gilmour for the Maple Leafs, a lot, and there he is, Pavel Bure, the Russian Rocket, and that's like kind of things happen with like the Pavel Demetria. Yeah, he played for a few years. Chris Chelios. So yeah, like the junk wax era, it's just overproduction, and you think of like, some of these, checklist cars that, like say there's a Luka Robitaille checklist, you'd probably, but by this time, probably people like, me that, I did it as kids, we like Perry Turgeon, Dean Evison, Guy Coburneau, that we stopped doing that, stopped putting, there's Eric Lindros. I think that's his actual first real card. They got him in the 470, so they got him in like the low series, but it was kind of almost a picture of him transposed over like a goalie's picture. It was Phil Housley. So that was like another chase. It would be Eric Lindros. Paul Eisenberg, Scotland Chance, there's Dmitry Karvotonov. I don't think he really made much of an impression. For the most part, there's like Mike Reekie, Quebec Nordiques. They would become the Colorado Avalanche. The Hartford Whalers, they became the Carolina Panthers. Edmonton Oilers. There still has a thing. Let's see, I'm trying to think of who the other Doug Waite there. Bill Ranford. Yeah, there's Tony Amani. Jim Campbell. He played. So I mean, you kind of like think of like all these things like Pavel Bure, like goal scorer. He's gonna be like a quick, and think of like maybe all Russians are gonna be like that, and you find out some really wasn't a goal scorer. Rick Tabriaka. There's Martin Straka, the Young Guns. Todd Marchand again. Rod Brindamore. Patrick Pullen, and Bernie Nichols again. So kind of, maybe 10 packs more. Looks like it. There's Bill Housley there, the Winnipeg Jets. That was the other team. Ray Bork from the WHA. And then they went to Phoenix, became the Coyotes. There's Darius Kasparaitis. He was more of a heavy hitter, maybe thug, goon, whatever. Ron Hextall, he was an interesting goalie. Ray Ferraro, Guy Carbono. Here. Kevin Todd, Yarmer Yager. It's like probably third year in the league. Sergei Fedorov. There's the Yarmer Yager. There's like the checklist card. Dominic Hasek for the Blackhawks. He would get traded to the Buffalo Sabres. Because you had like El Belfour, so you don't need, Dominic Hasek. But, a lot of good highlights from him. Mark Howe, that's Gordie Howe's son. Owen Nolan from the Quebec Nordiques. I got Korolev that he played St. Louis, I believe. I got Kravchuk. So you can see like a lot of different definitely, get a lot of duplicates, maybe triplicates. John Casey. This would be like the Dallas North Stars, I think, by this time. Or Minnesota North Stars. They would eventually, I think, after this season, they'd go to Dallas, become the Dallas Stars. Brian Leach there. Sean McEachern. Oh my gosh, there's like two Chris Chelios back-to-back, almost back-to-back. In that pack. So correlation, you could have that happen. Ulf Samuelsson. Kevin Denny, that's from the low series. Theo Fleury. He was a little hell in that. But you have enforcers. I mean, it's been a while since I've really watched too much hockey. I've seen a little bit, but not much. To know who's, Joe Sakic, was an awesome player. Kasparaitis there is a Russian uniform. There's a Ricky. So far no Pronger, no Karyia. I don't think I really had too much Canadian junior. Alexei Yashin. So there's like the checklist card for a SB3. So it's like a short print. So you got, you know, a lot of Russian, a lot of American, other World Juniors. Swedish, Finnish, American players. Here he is, Wayne Gretzky, just posing. His kids there. Let's see, what was his number? Was it 25? So some years they gave him the 99, card number 99. Ron Francis, Patrick Waugh, Peter Forsberg, there's Peter Forsberg, but his rookie card would have been the year before. So I'm going to clean out. So this is the, like I say, you said the green and red. So now it's like kind of like black and red. So this is like the high series. So they kind of changed the, you know, the uniforms. This is, oh, there he is, Mario Lemieux. And this is like after they won the cup against the Chicago Blackhawks. There. Sometimes you'd see like the patch Felix pop in. Okay, there's a Canadian. So we got 4 packs. Bob Probert. There's, you know, not really too much close up of his black eye or anything that he got in a fight with. Dr. Waugh. Rob Niedermeyer. There's another Canadian. So let's see, we might get Pronger. Scott Niedermeyer was his brother. So there's Jaromir Jagr's regular card, kind of a little, you know, lapse. There's Mark Messier. Okay, 2 packs to go. Well, I don't know. Pronger, Karyia, neither one of them. Sean Burke. Brett Hull there. The St. Louis Blues. There he is holding the cup there. And they had, like, say, the patch, Stanley Cup patch. Yeah, right there. And there's another Gordie Howe. There's his brother, his sons, Marty and Mark Howe. They actually played together. Here is Chris Pronger. Boom. Okay, last one. So 30 minutes. Okay. Nicholas Lidstrom there. And here's the Wayne Gretzky winner. So let's see, is it going to be Paul Karyia, or is it going to be anybody? Nope, Chris Groton. So he played 2 with, I think, Tampa Bay and a few other teams. Anyhow, that's like a hockey there. Stanley Cups. I mean, I'm not really too sure who I'd have to win it all, but anyhow, it'd be fun. Take care. See ya.